Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on an example regarding short-run market equilibrium. We're gonna go through this example and derive the conditions for an equilibrium and determine the market quantity and the market price. So let's begin. So suppose we have a firm that sells its output in a perfectly competitive market, and we're given with the firm's short-run cost function, and this is given by 0.5 q squared plus 20q plus 200. So the first thing being asked is we want to find the short-run supply function of a typical firm in this industry. And we want to show that the first order and the second order conditions for a maximum, as well as the profitability condition, are satisfied by this function. So let's start. If you recall from the past discussions, the first order conditions to derive the short run supply is that P is equal to the short run marginal cost. Okay, and to get the short run marginal cost, that's just the derivative of your short run cost with respect to Q. So this is gonna be Q plus 20. Then, given that the price P is the firm has no control over that, then the firm just requires that P is equal to SMC, which is P is equal to Q plus 20. Therefore, if we rearrange this with respect to Q, so that's Q is equal to P minus 20. Okay, so we have that. Next, our second order condition requires that the derivative of the short-run marginal cost with respect to Q is greater than 0. Okay, and if we derive this, so this is that we get the derivative of this further with respect to Q. That derivative is equal to 1, which is greater than 0. Therefore, our SOC is satisfied. Okay, our SOC is satisfied. And then we're gonna move. So we have one last condition, which is your profitability condition or your profitability criterion. Stability criterion. And it requires that P should be greater than or equal to the minimum of average variable cost. Okay, and from your short run cost, you know that the variable cost is 0.5 q squared plus 20q, right? Because 200 is a fixed cost. And then both these two elements here are dependent upon a level of q, which makes them variable. Therefore, we can find average variable cost if we just divide all of this by q. So divide that by q, and we're going to get 0.5 q, okay, plus 20. So that's average variable cost, okay? And what you're gonna notice is that since the minimum average variable cost, as we had in the discussions before, occurs at the point at which the average variable cost is equal to the short run marginal cost, then the AVC, okay, the AVC at minimum, okay, is at if we happens, okay, it happens when we equate AVC is equal to SMC. So to do that, we're just going to equate the two. So that's 0.5 q plus 20, which is AVC, equal to SMC, which is q plus 20, which suggests that q is equal to 0. So if we substitute q equal to 0 in the equation of AVC, so that's AVC is equal to 0.5 times 0 plus 20, AVC. Okay, we determined that the minimum average variable cost is equal to 20. Therefore, okay, the profitability condition requires that P should be greater than or equal to 20. If the price falls below 20, then firms wouldn't have an incentive to produce. And given this, okay, we can derive our short-run supply function, which is Q is equal to P minus 20, okay? If P, for all P greater than or equal to 20, then Q is equal to 0 for all P less than 20. Or to be more specific, let's be more specific here. That's for all P in the range 0 until 20. So this is our short run, okay, that is our short run supply function of the firm. Okay, next. We're asked now, assume that there are 40 identical firms in this industry. What is the short run market supply function? So if there are 40 firms in the industry, we can now get the market supply function using the individual supply function that we derived just a few seconds ago. So since the firms are identical, then the market supply function, which is Q, okay, is just equal to, okay, if there are 40 firms, so we have 40 here, times your short run supply function, which is this one, P minus 20, short run individual supply function. And this occurs when P is greater than or equal to 20. Then you have Q is equal to 40 times 0 for all 0, P until 20. So if we simplify this, that's going to be, so simplify this, that's Q is equal to 40P, then minus 40 times 20, that's 800, okay, for all P, okay, for all P greater than or equal to 20 when the price is above 20, and it's gonna be 0 for all prices between 0 and 20. So this is our market supply, our short run market supply function. So next we are asked, currently, okay, we know that the market demand for these firms' product is this function here, that's Q is equal to 1000 minus 2P. And we want to determine the short run equilibrium price. So remember, okay, to do that, the short run equilibrium market price, so our short run market equilibrium market price should satisfy, okay, that the market demand should equal the short run market supply, okay, supply. So we just equate the two. So we have our market demand here. So that's 1000 minus 2P. Then that's going to be equal to 40P minus 800. Okay, and then we simplify. We're going to get, so we have 42P here. Then this will be 1800. Then we divide both sides by 42 by 42. We're going to get P is equal to 42.86. So that is our short run, okay, market equilibrium price, or our equilibrium market price. Okay, so for the last question, we have one more. So how much does each firm produce in the short run, and how much profit does each firm make? And we also want to ask, is there an incentive for new firms to enter the market? And it asks why or why not. So if you recall from our discussions, there is an incentive for firms to enter the market if there's still a presence of some abnormal profit. So let's try to see that here. So so if you recall, the market equilibrium price is gonna be equal to 42.86. We computed that in number 3. And that's greater than 20, so satisfying the profitability criterion. Okay, then what you're gonna notice is that if you recall from our FOC, earlier, we said that Q is equal to 42.86, or whatever P ends up being, minus 20. So this is essentially P. So P minus 20. If you recall, it's this one. Okay, P minus, so this statement here. So that's where we're getting that from. Okay, minus 20. So that's to get the market quantity. And we end up getting Q is equal to 22.86. Okay, so that's the market quantity. Then how much profit does each firm make? Well, we know that profit is just equal to revenue minus your short run cost. Okay, so that's equal to P times Q minus your short run cost. And if you substitute the things here, so that's 42.86 times 22.86 minus, if you plug in everything to your short run cost, so that's 0.5 times 22.86 squared plus 20 times 22.86 plus 200. Okay, then we're gonna end up with profit being equal to 61.29. Okay, 61.29. And since profit, our profit is greater than zero, each firm is realizing, okay, or is gaining positive economic profits or abnormal profits in this case. So, and it provides an incentive for new firms to the market. So since profit is greater than zero, so note 61.29 is greater than zero, each firm has positive economic profits. Therefore, there is an incentive for new firms to enter the market. And that's a quick example on short run market equilibrium.